Wherefore, Series 3, Episode 28. Darren's mum is worried. It's been over a week now and he only comes out of his room to use the toilet. Sometimes he opens the bedroom door when she knocks and announces that food is available. Often she just leaves the tray there and comes back hours later to find it untouched. Darren was never a fussy child, and until now has been keen on food. So this alone would be plenty of evidence that something is really wrong. Every now and then she hears him singing. This is awful. Everyone who has ever heard him, including Darren's mum, knows that Darren cannot sing. She likes to say that he doesn't have a voice for tunes. He has a voice for rock. Evolution, or divine intention, has designed Darren for shouting in a gravelly way. So why is he singing? Darren's mum is torn between the desire to know and the feeling that she should respect his privacy. It's tempting to hover outside his bedroom door, holding the food tray as an excuse, waiting to hear what happens. As Darren could not hold a tune if his life depended on it, making out what he's trying to do is difficult. There are snatches of things that could be 80s pop songs, or could be him trying to do an impression of a buzzard being sucked up by a vacuum cleaner. On one occasion, she had her phone out and was poised to call for an ambulance when it struck her that he might be trying to yodel, rather than entering some kind of death spasm. Darren was not one of the people called to yodel in defence of the town. He was, for a while, strangely attractive to the jazz cyclist and rather alarming to Orion Jenkins during his hill phase. Why Darren has now decided to experiment with yodeling is anyone's guess, but it is an alarming thing for a parent to hear. Over the years, Darren's mum has stood by him, tolerant and accepting as he experimented with drums, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, glue, and caffeine enemas. She's relieved he no longer sticks himself to things for recreational purposes. Can her ravaged maternal heart survive this foray into yodeling? She really isn't sure how much she can bear, and it pains her to have to think in these terms. Being someone who prides herself on being easygoing and accepting, Darren's mum is having a bit of an identity crisis over her newfound intolerance. He starts playing organ music late at night, the sort of thing you used to hear on fairgrounds. She tries to tell herself that maybe he's doing it to sum up the full power of his rage for lyric writing purposes. But where will it stop? Every sound from his room becomes a source of anxiety. Is he just tapping his feet up there, or is he trying to do a one-man version of Riverdance? Because it sounds like he could be. Was that bagpipe music he turned off before opening the door for his lunch tray? What was in the very heavy box that turned up yesterday? Darren's mum is genuinely afraid that there might be a piano accordion under her roof now. She has no idea where to turn for help. It wouldn't be fair to talk to his bandmates or his brother, and there isn't anyone else in her life who would really understand the horror that acoustic instruments inspire in her. Is this a new problem, she wonders? How long has he been up there exploring these awful things, or is she just imagining it? How could a healthy young man go from spending time in his room watching porn and wanking to, folk music? Was that a snatch of Andrew Lloyd Webber? How could he do that to her, in her own home? How can she tell him how hurt and violated she feels, just thinking he might be up there watching a recorded live performance of Cats on YouTube? Is she being paranoid, she wonders? Is she being unfair to him, thinking this could even be happening? But then, there it is. A 5-second blast of Scotland the Brave with some kind of disco beat under it. Darren's mum sits down on her sofa and weeps. Those of you who like to overthink these things will note that Darren's mum is very quick at spotting the kinds of things Darren might be singing and listening to. This is on account of her own father. Darren's mum's dad was a music teacher. He was really keen on everything, and from an early age she was bombarded with classical music, world music, musicals, folk music, and worst of all, the kind of improvised jazz he liked to play on the keyboard of an evening. Darren's mum's dad really fancied himself as a jazz pianist, which is unfortunate because he was to jazz music what Darren is to melodious singing. For a while, Darren's mum rebelled by getting into spoken word. Where other young people enjoyed Top of the Pops, she feared it because of her father's relentless commentary. Did she know who first performed this song? Did she know that the bass player on this track had once recorded with Van Morrison? He never stopped. As a parent herself, she swore to protect her own children from the pernicious influence of musicals, Casio keyboard drum beats, and all the other monsters from her childhood. Have her father's genes somehow won out? Will Darren emerge from his room to announce that Doomvole are going to rebrand themselves as a country and western band? Will he suddenly want to talk to her about musical influences and who was at number 1 on this day in 1978? Is he going to emerge from his bedroom playing old Eurovision entries on the piano accordion? She can no longer sleep at night, haunted by the fear of what he's becoming. In the darkness, all she can hear are the alarming sounds coming from his room. The R&B warbling is soul-destroying, especially when Darren tries to join in. It's as though he can magically tell what would most disturb her and is working through those songs. When at last Darren's mum falls into fitful sleep, she dreams that she is trapped inside the beacon. The shop is closed, and she needs to pee, and there is no toilet. Outside the window, a man covered entirely in tinfoil is doing a sexy dance to the tune of Donald, Where's Your Trousers? And her father's voice comes in like someone narrating a movie trailer to tell her that while this song was a hit in 1960, it was more successful on its re-release in 1989. She wakes up screaming.